You ever just like glance at your phone, see a headline about gold prices, and think, wait, is now the time to invest in a safety deposit box?
It's been on my mind, especially with all this talk about stagflation.
Right, right. Everyone's suddenly throwing that word around. Understandably, it's kind of spooky.
Totally. So before we even get to whether gold is actually signaling that, can we break down what stagflation is? For those of us who didn't live through the 70s.
Sure, sure. Stagflation, basically, it's like the worst of both worlds, economically speaking. Imagine the economy stuck, no growth, jobs are hard to come by.
Okay, yeah, not great.
But then, on top of that, prices are still going up. So your paycheck is shrinking, but everything costs more. Double whammy.
Ugh, okay, so it's like being stuck in a rut while also getting robbed. No wonder people are nervous.
Yeah, it's not a happy scenario. Which is why everyone's looking at gold prices like, is this a crystal ball telling us stagflation's coming?
Yeah, that seems to be the instant connection people make. Gold equals stagflation panic. But is it really that simple?
Well, that's what we're digging into today, right?
Exactly. So before we jump to any doomsday conclusions, let's back up. Why is gold considered this safe haven when things get economically rocky?
Gold has this really long history, right? Currencies go up and down, governments change, but gold has always held some value. It's tangible, there's a limited amount of it, and it doesn't really care about, like, interest rates or what politicians are saying.
So when inflation hits and our regular money starts losing value, gold tends to be more stable. Naturally, people want a piece of that when everything else feels uncertain.
Which I guess explains why seeing those gold prices spike is a little unnerving. It's like the market's speaking in code, and we're not sure if we want the translation.
It's definitely a signal, no doubt. But here's the thing. The article we're looking at today, it doesn't just accept that gold up, stagflation imminent idea. It actually challenges that.
Really? Because honestly, if I hear one more comparison to the 1970s.
I hear you. This article digs into some history, and it gets interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So those inflationary recessions, right? Where unemployment's up and inflation's up at the same time. Scary stuff. Those haven't been that common in the U.S., historically speaking. Even during the 70s, when inflation was a huge problem, usually when a recession hit, something else happened instead.
Disinflation.
Disinflation. So not prices going down, but exactly. Prices going up slower. Think of it like instead of your grocery bill jumping 5%, it only goes up 2%. Not ideal, but way better than the alternative.
Right, makes sense.
And the article actually gives examples like 1974, 75, unemployment shot up, but inflation actually calmed down a bit. Same thing in 1980.
Huh. So it wasn't just instant stagflation every time.
Nope.
Yeah.
And that's just one reason why comparing now to the 70s might be a little misleading.
Okay, so it's not just that the economy is different now, but the way we understand those past events matters too.
Exactly. Context is everything.
All right, so if we're not just repeating the 70s, what is going on with the economy and why is gold reacting this way?
Well, that brings us to something super important. Monetary policy.
Monetary policy. Okay, that sounds a little bit like, I don't know, something economists talk about in secret meetings.
Right, like behind closed doors with their fancy charts and stuff.
Exactly. But it matters for, like, normal people too, right?
Absolutely, it's huge. It's basically how governments try to control the economy. Like how much money is out there, what interest rates are doing. It's the puppet master behind the scenes.
Okay, so in the context of this whole stagflation thing, what was different about monetary policy back in the 70s?
So back then, the U.S. money supply was growing really fast. Like, imagine way too much money chasing after way too few things to buy.
Oh, so more money in people's pockets, but not more stuff in the stores. Recipe for disaster.
Exactly. Prices go up and boom, you've got inflation. But here's the thing. Today, we're actually seeing kind of the opposite. The U.S. money supply has been shrinking lately.
Wait, shrinking? Like less money overall? That seems kind of wild to think about.
It's counterintuitive for sure. And central banks are being much more cautious now than they were in the 70s. Totally different approach.
Okay, so it's not just that the circumstances are different, but like the response is different too.
Exactly. We're not just blindly repeating history, thank goodness.
That's reassuring, I guess, but like we can't predict everything, can we? I mean, there's always something, right?
Oh, for sure. The economy is not exactly a well-behaved pet. It's more like,
A wild animal.
yeah, something like that. Unpredictable.
Yeah.
The article even says, like, pandemics, global conflicts, tech disruptions, all that stuff throws wrenches in the works.
Right, right. So even if it's not a 1970s replay, that doesn't mean things are going to be totally smooth sailing.
Exactly. Uncertainty is still part of the equation.
So where does that leave us then? What are we supposed to make of all this, especially with gold acting so, I don't know, jumpy?
Good question. Basically, rising gold prices, they should make us think, but not necessarily panic. It's one signal among many.
Okay, so gold's like that friend who's always a little bit dramatic, but you still gotta hear him out.
Uh-huh. Yeah, kind of. It's telling us something's up, but it's not the whole story.
All right, so then what else is gold pointing to? What anxieties are in the air right now? Spill the tea. So, if gold isn't just this like one-track stagflation predictor, what other economic anxieties could it be reacting to? The article's got to give us some clues, right?
Oh, absolutely it does. And it actually makes a really interesting point. It suggests that, yeah, maybe gold's not screaming stagflation right now, but it is pointing to a broader sense of, I don't know, unease, like a general economic nervousness.
That tracks. When things feel uncertain, people get a little twitchy with their money. Makes sense that they'd look for something that feels safer, and gold has that whole, like, I've been around forever vibe.
Exactly. But then that brings up the real question, doesn't it? The article leaves us with this. What are those other anxieties? What's got people so on edge in 2024 that they're turning to gold?
Yeah, good point. Is it like geopolitical stuff? Everyone's always worried about that.
Could be. Or, maybe some emerging markets, some instability there, or even just like rapid technological change. All that stuff can make investors a little jumpy.
True, true. It's kind of like the article's handing us a mystery novel, right?
Yeah.
We went looking for one answer, but now there's like a whole bunch of new leads to chase.
No. And that's what's so fascinating about this stuff, honestly. What seems like a simple question, like why is gold up, can lead you to all these other big picture things, history, policy, even just how people react to uncertainty.
It's all connected. So
Yeah.
basically, if you're out there listening and you've got your own theories about what's driving gold in 2024, hit us up.
Yeah, we want to know. This conversation's definitely not over.
Exactly. Always more to explore, more to learn. That's what the deep dive is all about. Until next time, keep asking those questions.